in the corners of the web where advertisement exists, typically video ads that are displayed in any player usually work over the VAST standard. YouTube is kind of proprietary. They might use their own thing, but some of the same principles apply. A group called the IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau, works together, and it's a conglomerate of various advertisers, and they establish standards and ways which ads are displayed and such. You have protocols like MRAID, mobile ads. You have VAST, which is an XML standard for describing video ads and their companion ads. And then you have VPaid, which is interactive VAST using JavaScript. Anyway, VAST is a standard for video advertising. Let's get down here. Look at VAST 4. You'll see this is a very long document. First, credits to all the companies that helped put it together. The ad tech world is a complicated world, and in the VAST XML format here, let's see here. Let's go to the XML structure on page 16. So you have the different kinds of ads. So you got linear ads, which are the videos, non-linear ads, which are what? Skippable linear ads, which is a linear ad, and then you have companion ads, which, like when you're on YouTube and an ad pops up, and the ad has like a banner ad in the corner or something. Well, let's go to YouTube. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So here, see this here? This is an ad for the Mark Forged thing, and over here in the top right, it says 3D print metal Mark Forged. So this is what would you call a companion ad. So VAST, they have defined a standard for displaying companion ads. So you got the impression that explains what URL to call whenever the ad is first viewed, and all URLs are wrapped in CData tags here. You got tracking URLs. I'll get into those later. Let's see. You got the error reporting, so you got the error tag, which has a URL to fire if there's an error during playback. VAST error codes table. No ad response. Basically, this is an empty VAST tag here. So if you request a VAST tag from an ad server and they don't have an ad for you to play, it'll come back empty, and then you might not see an ad. Or what will happen is the player will reach out to another ad server to see if they have an ad to fill the slot, because the publisher gets paid whenever ads are viewed on their page. That's how the publisher makes money. That's how a website makes money. It sells its advertising space as inventory. Basically, it cuts out sections of its page where it's going to display ads, or it displays them before videos or whatnot. And that's how these guys make money. Although a lot of news sites are now trying to get you to subscribe to pay for their news. Then macros here, you got replaceable things that are in square brackets. Like here, cache busting, replace it with a random 8-digit number. Asset URI, you can pipe in the URI of the video file being played. Let's see, timestamp. Icon support. I don't recall ever using icons. This has provisions for Flash and JavaScript, although Flash is legacy and nobody uses Flash anymore. Flash was deprecated. That you don't see Flash anymore. If you do, you see YouTube versions of the Flash. I mean, YouTube used to be Flash player based, but now YouTube isn't. Now YouTube, everything is HTML5 video. Now there's libraries that can do a lot of what Flash used to do, like the GreenSock API and such, if you want the ability to do tweens. And see, here's cores. You're always operating across domain context. Ad pods. I have never really looked at the rules about ad pods, and I'm not going to start now. In my time working with impressions were always one of those things where there's a hot debate about when the impression actually occurs, when the ad starts, when the ad loads, or when it's just visible, or when it's actually playing. When should the impression be? And so there's always been a kind of a debate about the difference, about what an impression is. And I'd like to say it's settled, but I don't know if it actually is or not. So I don't worry about it anymore. Not my thing. Look, there's a survey element, so you can specify that your ad has a survey in it. That's not to say that everybody supports every feature of every VAST tag, but I mean, cause there's a lot of features, man. There's a lot of features. So the ad is often termed a creative for whatever reason. So the player is the player that's on the web page, which loads the creative, and then if there's also a VPaid player, not VPaid creative is what they call it, but I never get terms right. I get everything jumbled in my head, and I just say the wrong thing and mean the right thing. The duration, hours, minutes, seconds format, like that. Add parameters, which is JSON or XML that you can pass to the creative. Like if it's VPaid, you can load a JavaScript file and then pass this add parameters to it. So VPaid units are always coupled with add parameters typically. Media files is an element that contains an array of media file objects down here, and they have like the delivery method, the type, whether it's like a video that's flash or video MP4 or video OGG, the width and the height, codec. I'm not sure that I haven't seen this one really used much. Bitrate is usually like the average bitrate of the file. Scalable, I don't know, but maintain aspect ratio is practically always true because no one wants you to stretch their video. And that's like the default behavior of the video player is to maintain the aspect ratio of the video and just letterbox it automatically. That's just what the HTML5 video element does. But usually in an ideal scenario, you want the HTML5 video element to be the size proportionally of the video you're playing. And you want to choose a video that's about just the same size or larger, slightly larger than your video player, so it scales nicely. Let's see, API framework. That would be VPaid if you are using a VPaid ad. Let's see. Mezzanine is a raw, like a very high quality, high level encoded file, which is used if you're going to stitch it with other ads or do anything fancy. If you provide a mezzanine, it's like use this super quality file to do your ad wizardry with. So it's not a media file element, but it's kind of like one. It doesn't have any attributes. It just has the URL to a high quality video. Yeah, they got the click through and the click tracking and custom click events. So click through is what you open the browser to. Like if you click a link to a page and you go somewhere, that's the click through URL. And then the click tracking URL is what you fire to let someone know that you click through to the click through URL. It's just a tracking for the click through. Let's see. Never used custom click. Never used icons. Nonlinear ads are overlay ads that display as an image or rich media on top of video content during playback. Interesting. I never worked with nonlinear ads. I worked with a video player for the most part. Companion ads, I kind of gave a demo of that. Companion, click tracking, and click through. So these are about tracking events here. So here is just plain old tracking events. And they specify more about those tracking events here. You can track quartiles, which is quartile is whenever you hit 25, 50, 75% mark of the video. Each of those is a quartile. So there's start, first quartile, midpoint, third quartile, and complete. Then they have over here mute, unmute, pause, resume. So you can fire tracker for any of these different events. Player expand, player collapse, never dealt with it. I never use the add verifications either. That's kind of like a newer thing. Never used any of the extensions either. So this is the human readable VAST XML schema. It's just like a hierarchical structure of the schema so that you know how to build one. But it's easier. We can look at an actual VAST file a little bit later and get a better view of it. Let's try getting a VAST file here. Hit play on something and there we go. And just searching for VAST in the fetch XHR section here, the VAST document. So now let's just push that off to the side and take a closer look at this VAST document here. So we have the VAST tag itself, which refers to the version, and there's, version 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.1, and 4.2, which are just addendums. So don't read the 4.1 and 4.2 PDFs if you get the main info. You want to read the VAST 3 and the VAST 4 PDFs. Those are the more important ones. So this says it's an in-stream video here. There's impression links, so all 4 of these will get fired the second this ad shows up. The error link, this is the link that will be fired. When I say fired, I mean you just make an XHR call to it, or if it's an image type, you put it in an image tag, and the image tag, the HTML image will just load the source and see if it's an image. And by the time it figures out whether it is or isn't an image, the link has already been fired. So that's how that works. Yeah, you got the extensions. I'll go over them first because never used an extension in my life, so I'm not going to cover them. But the most of the interesting stuff is in the creative section here. So you could have more than one creative, but in a typical ad where there's just one video, you only have one creative here. And then it's linear, so that means it's just a video that's going to play through. There's a duration, so it's a 15-second video. 6 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Most ads are well under 3 minutes, so usually you won't see long things. And so there's the media files, the video clicks for click through and click tracking, and then there's the tracking events. So let's look at the tracking events here. You can see we got first quartile. So these are 2 different first quartile tracking events. And this is Google syndication, and this is double verify here, for instance. So you got start, first, midpoint, third, and complete. These are your VD events, basically your quartiles. And then you got mute and unmute, pause, full screen. If you click full screen on the player and see this ad full screen, this is how they track that it's full screen. It is what it is. And then you got your same set of events, except they're being tracked by a different company now. There's a complete here for double verify, and then they have another complete here, and then Google has a complete. So there's like 3 completes in this list, and all 3 of them would get fired whenever the ad reaches its end. Let's see, video clicks here. So this is the link that would click through to the product, whatever the product is, or to the page to advertise the page. IBM, so it's an IBM ad probably. It says IBM right over here, ibm.com/consulting. And then there's click tracking, which will fire off something to let you know that you've clicked through. And so this is the player's responsibility, is to handle all these events, to track these events, to fire the trackers and such, and to play the creative. And then under media file here, these are all videos. So except for this is impeg URL. So that's a, let's see what kind of files we got here. That is a index.m3u8. So this is probably a streaming sort of thingy here. It's an HLS video, I think. And then the rest of these are just MP4s. So all these are MP4s. And so we got several of each size. We got our 360p's, we got 270p's, we got 480p, 720p. And probably because the ad size is small, they don't have any like 1080p or higher. Usually they only go as high as 1080p. They can go higher, but usually ads don't go above 1080p unless you're like watching Netflix or Hulu or something and they want to give you high definition ads. So what you'll notice, like for instance with all these 640 by 360s, is that they have various bit rates, so you can choose one that plays smoother, I guess. They all are scalable, and they all like to maintain their aspect ratio. So there you go. Never pay attention to the IDs. I mean, there's like a lot of redundant information in these files that you could care less about. And depending on what section of this, if you're the player, or if you're the creative, or if you're the tracking, or if you are, different parts of the concerns of this file, because there's several companies at play when this file is made and when it's read. There's usually multiple companies at play, and so different parts of this file might be relevant to you. Maybe not all of it. So that's why if I say I skip a certain thing, like if I skip the extensions, it's because I never had to care about the extensions. They were never important to me. That's like the player's responsibility is to handle the extension, and the creative's responsibility is to handle playback and events, basically. So this is an example here. See, is this a different VAST file here? Let's check this one out. Kind of looks like the same thing, honestly. Oh, this one's got very high resolution videos. It's got 1080p's in it. Yeah, I don't mean very high resolution, but it's a similar ad. So there you go. Let's look at the tracking events. Same stuff. Double verify and Google Ads syndication. And this is video clicks. Click through and click tracking again. Let's see, who's this one. This is Nature Made. So Nature Made is advertising. And these are both being served by Double Verify. Okay, so Double Verify is serving that. So let's view the tracking in an ad. I'm going to pop up that here. I'm going to click play here. Nah. Mute that. So what you'll see down here is lots of pixels being fired. All these pixel.gifs, they're 1x1 tracking pixels. This one is literally called 1x1.gif, and this is from Innovid. Let's see, so this is a different ad than the one I just showed you, but you see it's mode ads here, mode ads. Let's see, can we see anything about it here? Trying to see if the event is discernible from the extremely long, very extremely long URL here. Like that's a lot of info. Let's see, here's another pixel. This is E equals 5, so these are events here. E equals 29. Q equals 0. So I imagine the E represents the event, but I don't know. It all looks ambiguous to me. I'm seeing there's a 1x1 here. So there's a publisher ID here. There's a channel ID. There's the video ID. So the publisher would be ESPN, for instance. So that's probably ESPN's ID, for instance, with Innovid. And then the channel ID, I'm not entirely sure if I understand what a channel is. Then the video ID is, well, the actual ad being watched. The client ID, a client might refer to ESPN, or it might refer to the agency whose video this is, whatever they were advertising. Placement tag ID, project state, let's see, R, probably a random number, or it's time. It could be a timestamp. It looks like a number that could be a timestamp. Here's what we do. Just grab this and say new date, and that's September 10, 2022. So it's the current time. That is when this ad was played. Here, yes. So let's go back to network. What else is there here? So I think these E's are events. I'll just say that's what that E there is for. Oops. What else is neat? Moat, so that's probably mode ads. Yep, mode ads here. Innovid says Innovid here. This might be something to refer to the fact that they are have a secret handshake with Innovid. The int might be integration. I'm not entirely sure. Moat org slicer. A rig slicer. Slicers. What? They all kinds of proprietary stuff that's specific. Let's see. ESPN. I don't know if this is actually related to the ad. We might be kind of past the ad now. There's still a lot of stuff going on. With so many trackers on this page, it's really hard to find out what's going on, and a lot of pages like this, like major news sites, have lots and lots of HTML traffic going on at all times, and so filtering out the relevant stuff is kind of hard to do. That's why you use a proxy like Charles Proxy if you want to, but since I don't work in that specific part of advertising anymore, I don't really worry about it. This is just to make a little educational video about ads and how they work. This is just a video about VAST mainly. That's all I have to say about VAST. I can might make a video about VPaid, ImRaid, safe frames, or any of the other weird technologies I've worked with in the future, but thanks for watching.